Hey guys, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. And I am here with my friend Sam from samcoretrainer.com.
Hello.
So we're going to chat a little bit about pelvic health and getting our bodies kind of back into a state where we're ready to exercise again after giving birth. So thanks so much for joining me today, Sam.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Sam, let's go back to like pregnancy stage. What is really important for moms who are about to give birth or in that pregnancy phase to get them prepared for after birth to get back into shape?
Okay, so I have a motto that really the best time for you to prepare for your recovery is while you're still pregnant.
Okay.
Because a lot of women think, okay, during my pregnancy, I have to be extra cautious and I will worry about getting back into shape after I have my baby when I have all that extra time.
Yeah, so much time.
Yeah, no time. So it really, I say, while the baby's in utero, while all these significant changes are happening, you really want to be able to manage those changes by staying strong, staying healthy. Really, if at any time you should be exercising, it's when you're pregnant.
I love that.
It's when you're growing a human, because really at the end of the day, the healthier the host, the healthier the outcome.
That's a really good point, yeah.
And you're also able to, like your body's able to get strong, and then you're creating that muscle memory, so then when you go back to exercise, you're not going uphill. Your body knows, it's like, oh, I'm familiar with this. I know how to do that. So it's really a better way to do it is while you're pregnant, and then it makes your recovery that much more successful.
That's a really good point. You know, a lot of people have this misconception that they can't exercise while they're pregnant or there's dangers affiliated. Is there any truth to that?
No, you know, the World Health Organization actually recommends, whether you're pregnant or not, 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise.
Right.
So that is more than walking your dog.
Okay.
It is more than yoga. Now, walking your dog's very good, and yoga is, especially in the later stages of pregnancy, yoga is awesome. But you really do want to get that heart rate up to adapt to, and everybody is different.
Okay.
But you want to get that heart rate up because you're really preparing for an event like no other. Labor and birth
marathon.
Is not exactly. So you wouldn't not do anything and then wake up and then tomorrow I'm going to go run a marathon.
Right.
You want to prepare your body. It's the same thing in pregnancy. You want to prepare. So yes, you want to continue to do cardiovascular exercise so you have the endurance to last, hopefully, a short labor. And
not here, 20 hours right here, baby.
Okay, so you need to build up the endurance, but you also need to build the strength.
Right.
So you want to keep moving during your labor. You might be doing a lot of squatting. You need a lot of abdominal strength, a lot of core strength to push that baby out. And because you are gaining, on average, 25 to 35 pounds, it might be more, depending on all sorts of things, that's a lot of stress on your ligaments and everything in your body. So the stronger you are, the easier you're able to actually carry around that extra weight load. So you really want to strengthen as well as do cardiovascular exercise during pregnancy for sure.
Okay, so bottom line to my pregnant mamas out there, keep up the exercise. It's good for you and it's good for baby.
Yes.
Now let's talk about after we push the baby out. What is important for moms to know when it comes to, what are the first things that they should be looking at and doing?
You really want to be aware of what has happened to your core and especially your pelvic floor, right? So I would say the first thing is, do you feel any heaviness? Do you feel any pressure, right? And we also want to talk about the importance of pelvic health, because I would say that is your first line of defense in making sure that you have a healthy recovery.
Right, because I mean, I'm sure a lot of mamas can appreciate the peeing situation is hard, right? Like walking down a hill, you're probably gonna pee yourself for the first little bit. So we wanna avoid that, that's embarrassing. And so it's not just about, of course, getting our abs back together and making sure we have that six pack right away. But like you said, like it's really about kind of starting with the pelvic floor and pelvic health.
Yes. I've got a pelvis model right here.
We love the models.
To give you an idea. So this is your pelvis, okay? And everybody's pelvis is sized differently and shaped differently. But if we look at these red things right here, these are all the muscles of the pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor muscles start at the front of your pubic bone. They go right under, they attach right here, and then your sits bones. Okay, so for yoga people, they know what your sits bones are. And it goes right on the bottom and it attaches on the bottom of your spine. So your pelvic floor muscles, and there's several layers in here, and inside here in the bowl, and this is where the baby is going through into sitting in the pelvis and exits your vagina. This is where your uterus, your bladder, and your rectum live, right?
Okay.
So before pregnancy, your pelvic floor supports about 2 to 3 pounds on average. Put a baby in there and everything else. Now all of a sudden it's supporting 25, 35, 40 pounds, whatever it is.
Right.
And then your muscles here, so this is your vagina, these muscles get stretched all the way, and this is your perineum. This all gets stretched in order to birth.
Right.
After your baby comes out, the muscles will go, that would be nice.
That'd be nice. Our husbands would like to think that to be the case.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No.
It takes a while. So all of these muscles here really not only support your uterine organs, but they also help support your pelvis and your spine.
Got it.
Such a very important group of muscles because we want to make sure we keep our organs in place. And we also, like you were saying about the peeing, a lot of women associate it's normal to pee because I've had babies. But guess what, ladies? It is not normal to pee unless you're sitting on a toilet wanting to pee.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Having said that, right after birth, you might have some leaking for a little while.
Yeah. But we want to minimize that.
Okay, yeah, but we want to minimize that. And I would really say you want to get on top of doing your pelvic floor exercises,
right,
doing your Kegels, but also, having said that, not everybody should do Kegels either.
Oh.
Because our muscles in our pelvic floor are like every other muscle in our body. So if you have a muscle that's too tight, so if I were to walk around like this, would you give me a bicep curl?
Yeah, no.
No, because
you're already
I'm already
curling.
here,
Yeah.
right? I need to do this
right,
so I can do this. And if somebody is leaking a lot in their pelvic floor, they might walk around all the time gripped. They're doing Kegels all the time because they don't want to leak.
Pee their pants.
And now they've created a muscle that what we call as hypertonic because it's so tight. And so if anything, what they should be doing, they should be releasing, they should be doing reverse Kegels. But how do you know?
You need to get assessed.
You have to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. So a pelvic floor physiotherapist is a regular physiotherapist who's gone back to get extensive training in pelvic health. And so they will actually do an internal assessment. They'll see where your muscles are at. Are they too tight? Are they too loose? We want to get there. We want to see if there's been any tearing on the inside from birth. If you've had an episiotomy or if you've had any tearing externally, that's different, but you also might have internal tears. And how is the strength? Are you able to do a Kegel, right? And how is the level of strength? You might be able to do a Kegel, but can you hold it?
Right.
And if not, or if you can't do a Kegel, okay, then we got to work on it. Or if you're doing too many Kegels. So there's so many things to learn. And quite honestly, after you see a pelvic floor physio, women are like, oh my God, I've learned so much about my vagina. Who knew?
One of the big things that a lot of people talk about pre and post pregnancy is this diastasis recti or recti or however you want to say it. Can you talk a little bit about that? How do you identify that you have this issue? What's normal? And of course, how do we heal it? Because I think a lot of moms are super concerned. I know I was really worried about the separation of those abs. So first of all, what is diastasis?
Okay, so diastasis recti, the anatomical term, is actually for separation of the rectus abdominis. Diastasis is separation, and then recti is the rectus abdominis. So you've got 3 layers of abdominals. You've got your deepest ones I was talking about, your transverse. Then you've got your obliques in the middle, and then you've got that 6-pack on top is your rectus abdominis. And what happens is before you even become pregnant, your rectus abdominis muscles are not fused together. They're not like this. They're kept together by connective tissue called the linea alba.
Okay.
So if you look online and look at any anatomy illustration, you will see like there's a line here, and then you'll see the rectus muscles there. So that's your linea alba. So it's similar as in the pelvis, the front of the pelvis. This is connective tissue that keeps the front of the pelvis together. It's the same thing with our rectus abdominis because the recti insert in the front of the pelvis. So what happens is with the influences of hormones and as this uterus grows, the connective tissue starts to stretch sideways. It thins and it stretches sideways to make space for baby.
Right.
It is the most normal part of pregnancy.
Yeah, it's got to stretch.
Yeah, exactly. And a very small study that was done, I think it was 2 years ago, showed, because the unfortunate thing about diastasis is very under-researched. It's very under-researched. Is that 100% of women are going to get some degree of abdominal separation by the end of the 3rd trimester. Right. Which makes it, I mean, you're very teeny.
Yeah, like there's only
there's only so much space, right? So your body is very smart and is going to create the space that's necessary for that baby to grow, right?
Right.
But the thing is when the baby comes out, the muscles don't go bing.
Yeah.
Just like the pelvic floor doesn't go whoop, right?
Right.
We don't leave the hospital in this nice little tight package than before.
Unless you're, you know, Princess Kate Middleton, of course.
Yeah, maybe. But she was probably tough.
Yeah, she
wrapped,
she had some
like
good spanks
everything,
going on.
Exactly. And so the muscles tend to stay somewhat separated, but this is when proper restorative exercises are really important, because if there's any time for any spontaneous healing, it's typically your first 8 weeks.
Okay.
So what we really recommend is wrapping the abdominals.
Right.
There's a big difference between wrapping and wearing a binder or corset.
Right.
Okay. There's a big difference.
Yes.
Corseting or binding where you can't breathe.
No.
And what you actually do is create a lot of intra-abdominal pressure down on the organs, is the last thing you want to do, especially in recovery.
Yes.
Because you've had enough pressure on your organs with birth and with pregnancy and all that stuff. So you don't want to do it, but you want a gentle wrap, something that you wrap from the bottom up that just gives you that gentle hug. That's all you want.
Awesome.
And then you do proper restorative exercises. So hopefully at the end of this 8 weeks, that spontaneous healing time, you go see your pelvic floor physio, and now you can start doing a little bit more as far as exercise. But those first 6 to 8 weeks are really for doing proper retraining before training begins. So Abbey's 6 months postpartum, but if she has a diastasis, doesn't necessarily mean it's gone, or it might be fully recovered, because everybody is different when we're talking about abdominal separation, and everybody's recovery is different. So I'm just going to walk you through how to assess for a diastasis. So again, diastasis recti is separation of the outermost abdominal muscles, the rectus abdominis, and they start right up at the rib cage and go all the way down to the pubic bone, okay? So first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 fingers and I'm checking for tone. Because remember I was talking about that linea alba that stretches? Now that the baby is out, it's almost like a piece of saran wrap, right? So I wanna see, has she been able to keep the integrity? Was it taut like before she got pregnant, or now is it a little bit more loose? So I'm checking for tone, and I'm checking to see how deep my fingers go in, and it's right down the midline. So right from the rib cage, I'm going all the way down. So she's got pretty good tone. It gets a little bit weaker right around the belly button, which is totally normal, because this bigger circumference when you're pregnant is around your belly button. That's where they check you. That's where they measure you during pregnancy, right? So I'm gonna go down, it gets a little bit deeper around the belly button, above and below, and then again it gets nice and taut right around to the top of her pelvis. So check, so I would say her tone is very good, just in a relaxed state. She hasn't even contracted or engaged her core trying to do any abdominal exercises. So now I'm gonna ask her to do again with 2 fingers. I'm asking her to keep her abdominals relaxed. You're gonna tuck in your chin and slowly lift up your head just a millimeter at a time. Keep coming. And I'm gonna ask her to stop when I feel the muscles grab. Okay, you're gonna stop right there. And I can feel the muscles grabbing on either side, but you can notice her head is quite high off the floor. So put your head back down. The reason why I wouldn't consider that a proper measurement is because we don't walk around like this. We walk around in an upright position. So I want to check and find out the measurement just when she moves her head off the floor. I want to get it as upright as possible, if that makes sense, even though she's lying down. So I'm going to add another finger in. So now I've got 3, and I'm asking her to keep her abdominals relaxed, tuck in your chin, come up nice and slow. And I'm going to ask her to stop. Okay, stop right there. Okay, so now I can feel the muscles grabbing either side and go down. And I'm going to try to add 1 more finger and just see again. So remember, do not contract your abdominals. Come up nice and slow for me. Keep coming, stop. And that 4th finger doesn't really fit in. So I would say she has a 3-finger separation. Put your head down. But here's the thing, something I want to stress. The most current research says the width of the rectus abdominis has no bearing on function. So we do not care how wide her rectus abdominis have separated, because we know that there's a very normal part of pregnancy, and you can have someone who has 5-finger separation and has great tone like Abbey, but then have someone who has 2-finger separation, and I can literally go all the way down and I can feel their organs. Okay, so it's not the great. Now, if she had 2 hands, if I could fit 2 hands, which I've done before, I'd be somewhat concerned, and I'd want some closure, but it used to be so much of, we need to close the gap, which isn't necessarily the goal anymore. We want to be able to see that she can create tension along that linea alba, and that she is functional, okay?
Got it.
So the way now I would test it, so I can say she has a decent amount of tone just at rest. My finger's going a little bit deeper, like I said, around the belly button. So now, what a lot of people don't know is that your transverse abdominis, that deepest abdominal muscle, and her pelvic floor muscles, they're best friends. They actually co-contract. Meaning, when she does a pelvic floor contraction, her transverse abdominis are gonna come on, okay? So I'm gonna put my fingers just above her belly button. Again, she's gonna keep her abdominals relaxed. And I want you to do a Kegel for me, or any way that you've been taught, because she's seen a pelvic floor physio. She has been taught by her physio how to do a proper Kegel, and everybody is told their own cue.
Right.
I use several cues. Pick up a blueberry with your vagina, sip a milkshake through a straw with your vagina, nod your clitoris. Like, there's all kinds, and everybody has their own one. Do you want to share what your cue is?
I think it was like a poppy seed, like pick up a poppy seed.
So she's gonna pick up a poppy seed with her vagina, not literally. She's gonna
Suck. Poppy seed, poppy seed, poppy seed.
She's gonna start picking up poppy
Vagina vacuum cleaner.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna put my fingers back in here, and I'm gonna ask you to do a big inhale for me, and exhale, and you're gonna pick up that poppy seed. Good, now I feel a little bit more tension. It's nice and taut here as opposed to relax. And now my fingers sink in. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna ask her to do it again. So you're gonna do a big inhale for me. Exhale, I want you to pick up that poppy seed. And now you're gonna tuck in your chin and slowly lift up your head. And it almost feels like she has no separation anymore, because she's created that tension or that stability from the inside. Cool stuff, eh?
Okay, so let's talk about some exercises.
Okay, great. So the first exercise really for all moms is the core breath. And it's an exercise that you do in an upright position, because let's not mince words, right? You have a baby, whether it's in the hospital or at home, you're getting up within the next 24 hours and you still have to live your life, right? Unless you're healing for some issue. But you've had a good normal delivery, this is what's gonna happen. But even before I do that though, I wanna talk about alignment, because alignment is so important with this particular exercise. So I just want you to look straight ahead. And for those of you who are watching, you can see how Abby's legs, she's a little bit jutted forward, and she's standing more on her midfoot and the balls of her feet, and she's leaning back a little bit like this, right? And then you can see that her boobies are pointed a little bit upward and they're not down, right? So the first thing I'm gonna ask Abby to do is I want her to back up her weight, and I want you to take your perineum, so that's the space between your vagina and your anus, and I want you to bring that space in between your ankles. Great. Now, all of a sudden, look, her shoulders are stacked over her pelvis, and the only thing I asked her to do was to change her alignment right here. And then she's gonna soften her ribs a little bit more, so she's gonna bring her ribs down. But I don't want you to, great. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to imagine blossoming your butt cheeks. So all of a sudden, she gives herself a butt, right? So for those moms who are saying, where'd my butt go? If all you do is just change the way you stand with your pelvis,
Kim Kardashian.
but we don't want her to hyperextend her knees, right? So keep your legs straight without hyperextending, and now she's stacked much better. Her shoulders are over her hips, and now she's got a bum, okay? So this is something to be mindful of. Now she's gonna take this proper alignment and she's gonna put it in a chair. So I'm just gonna bring this chair over here. And I want you to, but she's not gonna walk like a statue. And I want you to sit down for me, please. And you want to maintain the same alignment. So what I say to people when they're sitting down is I want you to pull the flesh away from your butt cheeks, so you're sitting on your sit bones and your perineum. So she should feel the heaviness of the chair on her perineum. So this is proper alignment seated, and then I just showed you the proper alignment standing. And now I'm gonna walk her through something called the core breath. So again, talking about that core 4, your diaphragm, your transverse, your multifidus, and your pelvic floor, we wanna get all 4 parts of that core working synergistically together for optimal core function. And then she'll take that core breathing into all the other restorative exercises that I'm gonna show you afterwards. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place my hands around her ribs. Actually, you know what? Instead, I'm gonna have you do it.
Okay.
So you're gonna take one hand and you're gonna put on the side of your rib cage, and the other hand you're gonna place on your belly. Okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to take a big breath in, and I want you to breathe into both hands. So breathe sideways into your rib cage, and the overflow is gonna go into your belly. And then you exhale and bring your ribs back down, and your belly will naturally draw in. So inhale, breathe sideways into your rib cage, and the overflow goes into your belly. Exhale, bring your ribs back down and your belly naturally draws in. Great. So continue to breathe like this. And then what I want you to do is I want you to bring an awareness to your pelvic floor. So again, what is your cue for your pelvic floor?
The poppy seed.
The poppy seed. So what she's going to do is she's going to inhale and expand. And as she exhales, she's going to imagine she's picking up a poppy seed with her vagina. Great. You're going to inhale, let the poppy seed go, breathe sideways, sideways. Exhale, pick up that poppy seed. And when she's doing that, she's actually creating space between her perineum and the chair. And then she inhales, let the poppy seed go. And now she's melting over the chair. Do one more. Exhale, pick up that poppy seed. Good. Inhale, let it all go. And then the last step, which she's already doing, is you're going to exhale. When she's exhaling, imagine you're blowing a candle out across the room. Good. Inhale, let the poppy seed go. Exhale, pick up your poppy seed, blow out the candle. And I know that's a lot. And for a first-time mom, you're thinking about opening up the ribs and picking up poppy seeds and blowing out candles. It can be a lot. So this is why I really encourage everybody, you are going to do whatever exercises work for you and you're going to go at your own pace, but you really want to master this core breath. There has been, and I'm one of the people who've been guilty of it, of saying absolutely no crunches. If you have a diastasis, never do crunches. Again, the research has evolved. Crunches are not a bad thing. Now, crunches aren't necessarily the most functional exercise for a lot of people, but what do new moms do all the time, especially a new mom? They jackknife out of bed in the middle of the night to go grab their babies. So we need to train them to be able to do that without creating more pressure. Now, if she couldn't create good function and we see any doming, then absolutely I would not give her crunches, okay? Crunches are only something I would do once you're at Abbey's state where she can actually maintain tension. She did a curl up, which is basically a mini crunch, and everything was nice and taut. But if I saw any doming at all, I would say, no, you're not ready to do that yet. And I would continue to tell her to roll on her side to get up and down. Okay, so because you want to avoid any doming. And you also want to avoid doming during pregnancy as well. After you've had a baby, because your connective tissue's been stretched so much, really the only thing now between me and your organs is connective tissue and some fat, right? So basically what you're doing is you're pushing everything from the inside out and you're exacerbating that connective tissue, and you're exacerbating that separation. And we don't want to do that. We want to create tone. We want you to be able to maintain that. So until we can do that, we don't want to keep pushing it because it's counterintuitive to what we're trying to do. Right. So now she was somebody. If I was working with you, then I would say yes, you could do crunches, but not 200 crunches or 300 crunches. You want to have a variety. We use our bodies like this. We use our body like how many times you sit in the car and you're like trying to put the soother in right? You want to work transverse. You want to work lateral because you're bending over and doing this. So you would do all kinds of different abdominal exercises, but I first always want to make sure that you can create that stability and that tension from the inside, okay?
Got it.
Someone else might also, if they're feeling any pressure in their pelvis, they might do a crunch or a head lift and they'll feel more pressure because the pressure has to go somewhere. Diastasis is basically is caused by mismanagement of intra-abdominal pressure. So because the baby's pushing all the time, you've got constant pressure here, eventually your abdominals go. And then the pressure goes down on the pelvic floor. So if you're doing crunches and say you don't see any doming, but I'm feeling more pressure in my pelvis or I'm starting to leak, because the pressure has to go somewhere, then that's another sign that you're not ready to do crunches or any head lifts like this.
Got it.
Once you've mastered the core breath, is you're going to do a bridge. And I love the bridge. It's an inversion exercise because what has happened to all your organs during pregnancy and birth? Those organs have been pushed down, pushed down, pushed down. And again, when I was talking about when we were assessing diastasis, the last thing is you want to create more pressure. If anything, we want to put the organs back to where they are. So lying here with your legs bent, the only thing I would ask you to do now is, so you're going to take that pelvic floor cue that you have picking up a poppy seed, and now you're going to take that poppy seed and you're going to put it at the opening of your anus. Okay, so now we're working the back side. So we're working your back muscles here, we're working your glutes and your hamstrings. And what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to take a big inhale, and as you exhale, pick up that poppy seed with your anus, and now you're going to lift. Good. And then inhale and come on down and let it all go. Again, exhale, set yourself up, exhale, pick up your poppy seed with your anus and lift. Good. Inhale, let the poppy seed go down as you come on down. The next exercise I'm going to go over with you is the clamshell, because not only if your abdominals may be separated and you're dealing with some pelvic health issues, our glutes tend to become inhibited during pregnancy.
Totally.
And then what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to take a big inhale. So you're going to inhale and expand into the rib cage. And as you exhale, I want you to do your pelvic floor contractions, and you're going to lift your knee and keep your ankles together. Good. And you're going to lift as high as you can without rotating your spine, and you should feel your glutes right here working. Good.
Already.
And then you're going to inhale, let it all go. So expand into your rib cage. Exhale, do your pelvic floor contraction, lift your knee. Good. And squeeze that glute. Great. And the last exercise, and this again is just for the early stages, you're just slowly getting things moving, is I would say is this is more diastasis specific, but again, you're always incorporating that core breath that I showed you in the beginning with every exercise, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a big inhale and expand. Exhale, I want you to pick up your poppy seed, and as you're exhaling, you're gonna slide one leg out. Good. Now you're gonna inhale, let it all go, expand. Exhale, pick up your poppy seed and slide your leg back in. And the reason you're doing this movement during the exhale is because remember, when I did the diastasis assessment, you created all of this tension. We want to maintain the tension during the movement. So the more and more we can set your brain to maintain tension during movement, it's motor patterning, and the more it will start happening on its own. Okay? So for those who are watching, don't think that now forever, every time you do something, you have to think about inhale, exhale, doing a Kegel before you move. This is all in preparatory, so when you do go back to normal exercise, your body just does it. Because you've created that system. Okay?
So everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it as information-packed and enlightening as I definitely did. Thank you so much, Sam, for joining me today and teaching me all these great moves. I feel like, you know, I'm definitely on a better path for that pelvic floor recovery.
Awesome.
And Sam, tell us, if people want to get a little bit more information, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm known as Sam Core Trainer, but my website is samcoretrainer.com, and I've got all kinds of great exercises and resources. But if you want to work directly with me, just send me a message on my website and I'll get you all set up.
That is amazing. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below letting me know if you guys saw a pelvic floor therapist or if you're planning to. I'd love to hear from you. Also, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.
Bye.